Well, hey, all you wiretappers out there, I'm back here in the studio of Gangland Wire. Another little police story I've got. It's actually a story I got from a friend of mine named Joe Langer, was a longtime officer and primarily detective and one of the better detectives in the metro area from a smaller department in a suburb of Kansas City. And he's a good storyteller too. I was at a group of a bunch of policemen that we all used to work together on the mob and other organized crime, motorcycle gangs and those different things. And Joe was always around. If there was something big going down, Joe would be there. He's a good guy. I'd had somebody tell me, I had a prosecutor from over there, Johnson County. I was working on another local murder story, and I've never really finished, about the stepmother that killed her stepson, or no, the actual mother that hired her stepson to kill her real son, or vice versa. I gave up on that story after a while, but I digress. And this prosecutor said, tell Joe Langer to tell you the Red Corvette story. So I finally ran into him and we were at this deal. And I said, tell everybody the Red Corvette story, Joe. I hear it's a good one. He laughs. He said, oh yeah, that is a good story. And folks, this is a story about what happens, how you get into something as a policeman. You'd never know what you're getting into. People criticize the shit out of us for not reacting right, or overreacting or underreacting. And it's just, but you just don't know when you go into something. And this is such a great example of it. I got to tell this story. I've got a little bit of a platform here, and gonna keep getting the word out that that's a hard ass job. I say this like I'm still there. I feel like I am, but it's a hard ass job, and you've got lots of decisions that are life making, changing decisions that just come in a split second. You just do the best you can. So anyhow, Joe is a smaller suburban city where a lot of people know each other, and Joe gets a word from another policeman that some friends of that copper's are out of town for a weekend, and they want the cops to go by and check their house a lot, make sure everything's okay, but make sure they leave teenage kids there and make sure that there's not they're not having a big party. I've done that myself for a judge. I warned that judge. I said, you realize that if I have other guys go by and check, and there's a big party there, they're going to come in and they're going to do something. And he said, don't tell anybody else, but if you do it, I appreciate it. So we back to the story. So coppers are going by, and one cop is going to go by, and he actually has the wrong address. He's got some numbers transposed, I think, or he heard the address, and so he's pulling up the house real slow and looking, and in the driveway is a red Corvette, and the guy's just got in it, and he sees the cop slowing down and looking with interest at this house, and he hits the accelerator on that red Corvette, comes flying out of the driveway and careens off down the street, suburban street. That how fast can a Corvette go? How quickly too? Cop lays into it. He doesn't know what's going on. He just knows there's something going on that ain't right. So he starts chasing the Corvette. He gets on the radio and says, just came out of this address. Somebody needs to go check. Well, Joe hears that and he realizes, that that's not the right address, and I think he's off. He's a detective and he's off doing something else, and the other guys are the street guys, the patrol guys are all streaming in and trying to catch up with this car chase. One of the guys goes to the house, so he cautiously approaches the house because he didn't know what's happening, other than, they've got it out on the air. This is some people that are out of town, and they had some teenage kids there. And he walks up, and the back door, the side door, I think it was, by the garage was partially open. So he opens it up, he goes in kind of cautiously, police officer, walks on in, nothing, dead quiet. Car chase is still going on in the background. All over this 2 or 3 little suburban, all the local cops in the Overland Park and Shawnee and Mission and Mission Hills and Kansas City, Kansas, maybe all of them are into this car chase by this time. And believe me, when you get a multi-jurisdictional car chase going, they have a a channel they can go to and communicate with each other. And many times the Kansas City Police are the only people that have helicopters, and the helicopter will start that way. So this guy's going in, radio's blaring in the background with the car chase, and he sees a phone that's off the hook, and it looks like there's blood all over the phone. He's going, "What the hell?" And there's no help to come because everybody's in the car chase. He creeps on through the house, and it gets back to a bathroom, and it's in a bedroom, a master bedroom, and there's a bathroom in there. And he looks in, and you can see the legs of a woman laying there, and there's blood on him. He sticks his head on in. There's this bloody, turns out to be corpse of a woman laying there. So he starts trying to find signs of life as usual, and getting on the air, and it's hard to get on the air because the car chase is going on. I'm laughing because it's kind of, I guess it's sad for that family, but this whole thing is just crazy. And he gets on the air and gets the ambulance over there, and Joe has heard this, and he's a detective, so he goes over, and the fire department is getting there, and the officer comes out. The fire chief comes in first of all, and Joe's gotten there, and he said, we got to preserve this crime scene. Now, we're going to have a suspect, it looks like, and we got to preserve this crime scene. Those firemen come in and ambulance people, and they're just going to destroy the crime scene, which, if there's any chance for life, then you got to let them go, and they're going to mess up the crime scene. But if there's no chance that the person's absolutely dead, cold to the touch, you don't let them go in. You let one person go in and say, yeah, they're dead, one of the medical people. So the fire chief that Joe knows comes first, and then the ambulance shows up, and the fire truck, and everybody's like roaring, they're ready, they wanting to go in, and he's got the fire chief to hold everybody off. They're arguing about it. Oh, we need to go check signs of life, and they said, he's dead, she's dead, this woman is dead. Finally, they let one of the ambulance people go in. They come back out and said, yeah, she's dead. So they can preserve the crime scene, start doing the evidence collection on the crime scene and on the body without it ever being touched. And in the meantime, they finally have got this guy has a car wreck, and they've got this guy, and they take him down to the station and tow the car, of course. And as this starts sorting out, they find out that this was not the house that they were supposed to be checking on. This was somebody else's house that he just stumbled into it. And they got the guy in the holding cell and bring him back out, and he's just a slub, just a zip. And he breaks down real quick, and he said, I was walking through the neighborhood, and I saw her out there in the yard, and I went over and I was trying to get some money from her, and then she was going to go get me some money, and so I just followed her on in the house, and I ended up killing her. And when I was going to take the car, when I saw the policeman, I just panicked, and so that's the kind of stuff you can get into being a policeman, responding to calls. And that's why it's a lot easier to be in the intelligence unit. You knew what you were going into. You knew that, mostly, I never, ever had to really take emergency action in the intelligence unit because we knew what we were getting into. We were dealing with higher end people, and people that were really careful about what they did. But the street guys, they're dealing with these booger eating morons out there that they just act out of instinct, and everything happens really fast. So that's the story of the Red Corvette. Thanks, Joe Langer from Johnson County, Kansas. And don't forget, look out for motorcycles. Support me with at Gangland Wire on Venmo, and there's a Buy Me a Cup of Coffee app. And if you have any problems with PTSD, especially if you've been in the military, just Google PTSD and Veterans Administration, and you'll find a lot of help.